Have you ever looked at your household income, the number on paper, and just felt confused? I mean, you're doing everything you're supposed to. Both you and your partner are working, the paychecks are coming in, but it still feels like you're just treading water? Well, let's get into it, because you are definitely not alone, and what you're feeling is a very real, very powerful economic force at play.
This one sentence right here just captures the feeling for millions of families. It's that nagging anxiety that, even though you're following the modern playbook for success, 2 careers, 2 solid incomes, that financial security you were promised just isn't there. It's this quiet frustration that somewhere the math just isn't mathing.
Okay, let's make this real. Picture a couple, they're bringing in a combined $133,000 a year. That puts them in the top quarter of all households in the country. They should be flying high, right? But instead, an unexpected car repair pops up, and it has to go on a credit card. How is that possible? Well, this isn't a story about bad budgeting. It's a symptom of a much, much bigger problem.
What we're really looking at here is a phenomenon that's so common, but so widely misunderstood that it actually has its own name. It's a paradox that has quietly and completely reshaped the financial reality for the modern middle class.
It's called the two-income trap. And this isn't some newfangled idea. It was identified all the way back in 2003 by then Harvard professor Elizabeth Warren. She studied thousands of families, and what she found was that the big cultural shift to a two-income standard didn't create a safety net, it actually created a high-stakes tightrope.
And here's the finding from that research that is just completely mind-blowing. Get this, she found that families with 2 parents working were actually more likely to end up in bankruptcy than families with only 1 parent working. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. You're working twice as hard, you're bringing in 2 paychecks, and you end up in a more fragile position. That's not a personal failure. That's the classic sign of a systemic trap.
So to really understand how this trap was set, we have to rewind the clock a bit, because the financial world our parents or grandparents grew up in is fundamentally drastically different from the one we're all navigating today.
Think about it. Back in the 1970s, the single-income household was the absolute gold standard for the middle class. Now, fast forward to today, and the dual-income family is the norm. Over 60% of married couples with kids have both parents in the workforce. We have completely flipped the entire operating system of the family unit.
And this right here, this comparison, shows the critical difference. In the 70s, if the main breadwinner lost their job, the stay-at-home parent could go out and find work. That second potential income acted as a powerful built-in insurance policy. But today, for most families, that insurance policy has already been cashed in just to pay the mortgage and the bills. The backup plan is already deployed. It's gone.
So why is that backup gone? Well, because the fixed costs of just having a middle-class life have absolutely exploded. Since the 70s, even after you adjust for inflation, housing costs have doubled. But look at this. Healthcare is up over 600%. And college, the cost has gone up a mind-blowing 1,200%. Sure, wages have gone up a little, but these core expenses have launched into another galaxy, and they've soaked up every last dollar of that second income.
Okay, so let's follow the money. Where exactly does that second paycheck go? This is where the trap becomes crystal clear, because the math is absolutely not what you think it is. So let's just take a hypothetical second income. Let's say it's $50,000 a year. On the surface, that looks like a huge boost, right? An extra 50 grand should totally transform a family's finances. But let's actually follow the money.
Okay, now look at this breakdown. It's wild. That $50,000 gets taxed at a higher marginal rate, so poof, there goes $18,000 right off the top. If you've got a kid, childcare on average is another $15,000. Gone. Then you've got the costs of a second commute, gas, wear and tear, maybe a whole second car. Let's call that $8,000. And finally, you've got the exhaustion expenses. You know what I'm talking about. More takeout, paying for services because you're just too tired to do them yourself, that can easily eat up another $7,000. So here's the punchline. After all is said and done, that big $50,000 salary adds just $2,000 to the family's bottom line for the entire year. That is about $1 per hour of work. Think about that. Someone is grinding through a full-time job, spending all that time away from their family for a net gain that wouldn't even cover a minor car repair. It's insane. And this brings us to the real, hidden cost of the trap. It's not just about the vanishing dollars. It's about what you lose when every single one of those dollars is already spoken for. You lose your options, you lose your flexibility. This says it all, doesn't it? When your finances are stretched that thin, with both incomes fully committed just to cover the fixed costs, there is zero margin for error.
A single unexpected life event, a layoff, a health problem, a major repair, can send the whole house of cards tumbling down because there's absolutely no slack in the system.
And look, this is not some niche problem. Data from the Federal Reserve shows that nearly 40% of American adults couldn't cover a simple $400 emergency. $400! A lot of these people are in dual-income households, making what looks like good money, but they're living in this incredibly fragile state.
Now, it's really tempting to blame this on lifestyle inflation, buying too many lattes or whatever. But the bigger force at play here is a systemic squeeze. Think about housing. When an entire generation of families started competing for homes with two incomes, the prices were bid up to a level that now requires two incomes. You are locked in a bidding war for the basics of a middle-class life, and the price of admission is now 2 full-time careers.
So, if this is a trap, how in the world do you get out? Well, the answer isn't just to earn more money. It's about a fundamental, powerful shift in how you structure your entire financial life.
Here it is. This is the key. You have to start treating that second income as a bonus, as temporary, as discretionary, even if you plan on working forever. See, most families do the exact opposite. They treat both incomes as permanent, and they build a life that requires both. And that is precisely what springs the trap. So this gives us a clear, 4-step path to getting your financial flexibility back. First, and this is the big one, the most important rule. Base your non-negotiable fixed costs, your mortgage, your car payments, on what one income can comfortably cover. This creates an immediate financial firewall. A job loss is no longer a catastrophe. Second, you take that entire second income and you dedicate it to one thing, building actual wealth. This is not grocery money. This is your debt-destroying, investment-fueling, retirement-maxing-out money. This is how you really get ahead. Third, and this can be the hardest part, you have to consciously resist the social pressure to spend like everyone else. It means ignoring what the neighbors are doing and focusing on your own family's resilience. And finally, all of this leads to step 4, you rebuild that financial insurance policy that was just standard a generation ago. You're not just saving money, you are actively buying back your freedom and your options.
Ultimately, this is the most important takeaway of all. The very first step to escaping the two-income trap is just knowing that it exists. Recognizing that this constant financial pressure isn't some personal failing, but a structural reality, that's what gives you the power to start fighting back.
Understanding the trap, really seeing it for what it is, that's half the battle. The other half is making conscious choices to build a life with more margin, more flexibility, and true financial resilience, not just the appearance of it on paper. So now that you can see the trap, the real question is, what's your next move?